It's showtime.
Oh, that's how we're going to start it, huh?
BaconBit.
Yeah, BaconBit.
BaconBit showtime.
Hello.
Hi, listener.
Hey,
How's
guys.
it going? Hey, we actually saw a movie. Two out of three of us saw a movie.
It's been a minute since we've done a BaconBit. I think Twisters was our last one.
Nope.
Okay, not too far then.
Hey, Zach, do you want to go to a movie soon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did do Twisters. I had to leave.
Yeah. We can go to a movie soon if you want. But Joel's been giving me such a hard time for not taking him to any movies, so I just
Press X to doubt.
It's so true. It'll happen. It'll happen.
It will.
Probably.
But no, we went and Kent and I saw Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Indeed.
Which is releasing as of this BaconBit when it's airing. And we're going to give our review from it. The first part will be spoiler-free, and Zach will be able to be here with us. And then if Zach chooses, he can leave during the spoiler-full part.
It depends on the things you say in the next 10 minutes. We'll go from there.
Okay. Do you love Beetlejuice? The original?
I like Beetlejuice a lot. Love is a strong thing you just said. I like.
Does the musical make it worse for you?
The musical, I don't care for. I think it focuses on the wrong things.
Okay.
I think it's too much of Lydia, too much of Beetlejuice.
Wow.
So it's like the cartoon.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You're not a fan of the cartoon?
I was not a big fan of the cartoon either.
Okay.
But I liked the movie much more.
Well, for those of you who don't
You like
know,
Adam and Barbara? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I
Okay.
like
Yeah.
Adam
So
and Barbara.
Beetlejuice Beetlejuice is the sequel to the 1988 movie Beetlejuice.
After a family tragedy, 3 generations of the Dietz family return home to Winter River. Still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life is turned upside down when her teenage daughter Astrid accidentally opens the portal to the afterlife.
Ken, who stars in this movie?
We have Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, or I should say, with Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, she
got a
newcomer
with
there.
credit.
Yeah, everyone else has been in the movies before. This is her first time in there, and I don't know. She's kind of got that lockdown of weird gothy girl.
Yeah, I
from
think
Wednesday.
Tim Burton is like, hey, Christina Ricci has aged out of my movies, I guess.
She's actually kind of crazy now.
So I'm going to get someone that looks perfect for the part, and it's Jenna Ortega. I mean, obviously, Tim Burton worked with her on Wednesday, and so
Just this past Wednesday.
yeah, just this Wednesday. So it works all together. And honestly, for the character that Winona Ryder played of Lydia, Jenna Ortega fits really well.
Yeah,
That's good casting.
Yeah.
it makes sense. Tim Burton and Jenna Ortega go together like Tim Burton and White Stripes, not the band, but
Nice.
yeah,
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
yes.
So someone that has a bigger role here is Catherine O'Hara in this
Yeah.
movie, Zach. I'll just answer the question for you.
Well, that's good news.
Is it good news for you?
I love her.
I watched Beetlejuice just before going to see this movie. Not that I needed to watch it because I have the whole thing memorized. This is one of my childhood staples.
Yeah.
But because I was like, let's just get back in the kind of the vibe of this. And when we went to the screening, there was a good vibe there as well.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people who were dressed up and just,
little costume contest.
yeah, a little costume contest, a Halloween feel to the whole thing.
Right.
And, and I was not, I've gone back and forth with this movie. At some point, I was mad that they were making a sequel because it was not needed. The other one, I was like, you know what? They're saying some things that make me think this might be okay. And so I watched it. And Kent, I'll just jump right into my
Okay,
review.
go for it.
So this movie, as it started, it has the look, it has the feel. It does kind of feel like a Beetlejuice type movie. The opening credits are very similar.
Yeah.
Going over the town. Although this time it's at night.
Music is so
stormy.
familiar.
Is it the music?
Yeah.
A little updated. Danny Elfman
That's
has
fine.
updated the score
That's
a little
fine.
bit, but it's good. It's all fun and games. And as it started the movie, I was kind of like, you know what? I'm not offended by this. This isn't bothering me. There is some definite fan service that happens during the movie, but I didn't feel like that's what they relied on. And one of the things I was very grateful for is that they did show restraint in how much they use Beetlejuice on the screen. Because as many sequels tend to do, they're like, hey, this side character that was interesting, let's make them the main character.
Like a Pirates of the Caribbean sort of thing.
Yeah.
Looking
Okay.
at you, Cars 2.
Yeah, the Mater effect.
Sure.
And a lot of movies do that where they're like, oh, you know what? Let's just focus on that character, and it kind of kills the mojo. This one, I felt, showed restraint in that. They had Beetlejuice appear every now and then to do his thing, and then he went away. I don't feel like the human element was as compelling as the original movie, which that makes perfect sense. The first movie is the story of what is the afterlife? What is going on here? Adam and Barbara, they're discovering it. We're discovering it with them.
Yeah.
This movie didn't have that. And I felt like that the human element was a little lacking. The other world, the afterworld, otherworld, what do they call that? The other side.
Yeah.
That was interesting, but also I don't feel like they expanded or built it anymore.
Right.
It was kind of just there as well. And I do feel like they had a little too many characters, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because I kept forgetting people were in the movie. Like a character would be gone for a bit and then they appear. I'm like, oh, that's right. Their storyline. I forgot about that storyline. And it happened a couple times with the Covenant characters, which I'll get to in the spoiler full section. But overall, I kept watching it going, you know what? I'm not hating this. I'm not hating this. And that is kind of the bar I landed at, is I didn't hate it.
Okay.
Which was kind of a surprise to me because
That's a good surprise.
with a lot of these, what are they calling them? Nostalgia sequels? Or
Lego sequel.
Yeah. With that kind of thing, it's like, you know what? Let's do all the jokes over again.
Pretty sure they call them cash grabs, but yeah.
That is also what they did. Is this sequel necessary? No. Is it enjoyable? Yeah, it's actually enjoyable. I enjoyed parts of it. There were some parts where I kind of rolled my eyes like, okay, let's go with that. I laughed a couple times. I did the point of the screen like, I get that a couple times. So yeah, I didn't hate it. I think it was... I didn't hate is the bar we're going for here.
Sure.
Joel, so let's say you're like me, who I'm a person who has seen the movie.
Yes.
Many times.
The original movie.
The original movie, Beetlejuice. I've seen it many times. I know what's up, but it's been a few years, probably 5-6 years since I've seen it.
Yeah.
Do you think I would be better off to not watch it right before? Do you think that hurt your experience?
No, because it is just one of those movies that's ingrained in our minds already that watching it wasn't necessarily necessary.
Yeah.
Because I think if I would have gone to this completely blind, I would have had the same emotions as I did before.
I'm just wondering if it's like the callbacks, if they feel like a memory as opposed to like a direct comparison.
Well, there weren't that many callbacks is what I'm saying. Like there's a couple times where it's like, okay, I get what you're going for there. But it felt like for the most part, Tim Burton was kind of writing a sequel. And this sounds weird. I know it sounds weird. But this felt like a good old fashioned, less better than the original sequel.
Hold on. Good old fashioned, less better than the original.
Back in the day, it was like they make a sequel. You're like, hey, you know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
It's a lesser one. It's fine.
I understand.
It's the Crocodile Dundee 2.
Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, Ghostbusters 2.
People are like, it's terrible. I'm like, no, it's just more. It's not terrible. It's not better.
That is actually a very apt comparison, Zach. Because this is kind of like a Ghostbusters 2 thing where it's like...
so sad that this is the Ghostbusters 2.
No. Because it's a take it or leave it kind of thing. It's like, you know what? If you want to be a fan of the...
Sure.
The two Beetlejuice... Beetlejuice. That sounded weird.
Yep.
That's perfectly fine. I have no problem if people want to like this movie and enjoy this movie. If anyone says it's better than the original, then we're going to have words.
These are the Beetlejuice. Kent, what did you think about Beetlejuice?
I liked it less than Joel.
I could tell.
Oh, I figured as much.
And I think it's actually a mistake to watch Beetlejuice before because Tim Burton but mostly had a look and feel. I think the cinematography, the Dutch angles, everything kind of feels askew. This movie felt so traditional.
It did.
Right?
It wasn't as quirky, I didn't think.
And that's the thing. I think it's the quirk that's missing for me because the first half of this movie, Zach, is too much restraint. It is mostly human characters. And the thing that works so well about the original is it's Adam and Barbara's story, and there are villains in this story, and they're human villains. There's Beetlejuice, for sure. Yeah. And it's chaos. But the human villains are so good. In this movie, you're like, Winona Ryder has a boyfriend that is so hammy.
Played by Justin Theroux.
Yeah, and he's the worst part of the movie. He ruined it for me.
You think so?
Yeah, I was like, I get you need like an opposition character, but like it was so cheesy and cartoony. I was like, in my mind as I'm watching the movie, I cut his plotline and the movie got better. This is an hour 47 roundabout, and it had 8 too many subplots because you have Janet Ortega with the subplot. Lydia had obviously the major plot. This is a very Winona Ryder heavy movie. Whereas Catherine O'Hara, one of the better parts of the movie, Jenna Ortega, even though she's an annoying teen, the acting is there. And you're like, I kind of want to see a little bit more of that. But then she has a romance subplot, and you're like, what? Why? There's
a lot going on.
It's going really pointless.
Because really, if you think about Beetlejuice, this is going to be a comparison maybe nobody in time has ever made.
Yeah.
It's like Silence of the Lambs.
You
think about it. You got your main character.
Sure.
Yeah.
You've got your main issue at hand, Buffalo Bill. And then you've got your helper who is also problematic in Hannibal Lecter, and that's Beetlejuice.
Okay.
Right? So it's a complex thing. Beetlejuice is not the villain of Beetlejuice, but he's also not the hero. He's like a weird helper. So this sounds like that idea is a little bit broken.
If I may say, he's kind of like the chaos or the inciting incident. He keeps the juice flowing.
But remember, like Beetlejuice was hired to get the Dietzes out of the house
in the original movie.
So like there's really just that, right? You've got You've got the dead folks want the live folks out. Beetlejuice helps. Simple, straightforward. It sounds like this is a little complicated.
If this were a plot about Lydia and her daughter getting along, it would be great. But there's 8 different plots on top of that. There's Willem Dafoe as an actor, dead cop. There's Monica Bellucci as a scorned lover trying to get after Beetlejuice. And I'm like, what is going on here? Joel, like you said, there's so much going on. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a threat. Is it?
I saw, I think just a clip online. This movie has narration, storytelling and narration.
No.
From Lydia and Beetlejuice at times.
I saw Beetlejuice telling a story of the scorned lover.
They kind of jump across.
That feels...
Joel, I actually think this
terrible.
winks. I think Beetlejuice, he says lines, he winks at the audience. He basically says, let's get nuts. I mean, this is Michael Keaton being a little bit like, he gets it. That said, I love Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. I love seeing him in this movie. And by the time where the 2 plots come together, the human side and the afterlife side, and Beetlejuice was more involved with this story, I was like, I'm in. This movie actually became fun. It became bombastic. Sure, that the sets in the afterlife were kind of lame.
Well, but like I said, one of the things that, once again, I thought it was great. Mostly practical effects. Like there was some stop motion animation going on there.
All that kind of stuff.
There was puppets and props that were used instead of CGI. And every time I saw that, I'm like, oh, I like that.
Does it help for the overall vibe?
Yes, but it feels in vein of the original.
The creativity and the quirk is mostly gone.
I wouldn't say mostly gone.
It's mostly gone. I thought this was marginal fun. So I'm like, oh, I kind of liked it by the end. But it took a long time to get there.
So I'm just been bouncing back and forth. I have 2 tabs open of IMDb. And on IMDb, the homepage always plays the trailer for the show. And I'm literally just bouncing back and forth to get it like a vibe. And it's weird how sterile it just kind of looks.
Well, it's not
strange. It's like if you had to explain what quirky is.
I wouldn't say sterile. I'd say normal. Like the first one, there's some weird stuff that happens, and you kind of go, "Oh, okay, I guess it's just the world we live in." This one, it kind of like wants to explain why it's weird. I don't know. I can't explain it.
It takes so much time.
Parents Guide, by the way, I want to point that out.
How'd you feel about that?
There are about 10 S words. There's one F word. I'm pretty sure it was an F word.
Yes, it is.
And there's one bleeped F word.
They like purposely bleep it out.
Which I was like, why'd you bleep that one? And
because
not
2
the
will
other
get
one?
you the R rating.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I just kind of went, And even the F word was kind of, I mean, I never enjoy hearing it, but it was just felt kind of like a throwaway, wasted comment.
So was the F word in the first movie?
Yeah. Well, that was more of a kind of this big, I remember that was the... I remember as a kid watching the original Beetlejuice, and my friend's dad was like, "Hey boys, run upstairs for a second." We're like, "Okay." We ran upstairs. We're like, "Why?" And he's like, "No reason." And then I was like, "Oh, later."
Beetlejuice is going to a brothel and he says bad words.
Yeah, they've always been a little suggestive, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, there's some like gore in this one, and some violence, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, there was some stuff that I was like, "Wow, they couldn't have done that in the original."
Yeah,
because I think the original is PG. I think it got a PG rating.
So, Joel, what do you give this one?
I'm still debating, but I think it's going to end up about 3.5.
Okay,
which is, it's better than average in the sense of in the sense of sequels, because I feel like it could have been, if I may use this comparison, it could have been a Bill and Ted Face the Music kind of thing, where I was like,
"Oh, you're right.
This is everything." I'm like, "This is everything I feared the sequel would be." It's like, let's hand off the torch to these new people and not even care about original protagonists and do all these throwaway jokes that we used before, and it's just going to ruin the characters. This didn't ruin the characters for me.
Oh, man, that's a really good point.
And there were a couple parts, I can't get into it here, that surprised me that I didn't expect them to do. And I went, okay, you got me there. And so that's why I'm giving it a 3.5. I think that's where I'm landing.
I was leaning towards a C-, but to me, that's like legacy destroying. It's probably right in the middle. It may be a C. Granted, I know I sound a little bit negative, and I definitely will be with spoilers, but there are some moments, some musical moments especially, that I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying this.
The musical moments, there was a couple of them, and some went on a little long.
Yeah, no, for sure. They could have trimmed those down significantly. I don't think Winona Ryder, she's still the Stranger Things mom. Like, it's not quite Lydia.
But she put on a wig.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Just way too much going on here. Honestly, it's between C- and a C.
Okay, follow-up question. You've given your grades.
Yes.
Does this, so thinking less about the movie itself and more about kind of the meta of where we're at with movies, is this not at least a little refreshing based on what we've gotten, or does this feel like a modern movie? Does this feel like an 80s movie, or does this feel like a modern movie?
But, well, like I said, I think this feels like a good old-fashioned lesser sequel.
Because to me, like Twisters, for example, came out earlier this summer. It was like, hey, this kind of feels like a 90s a disaster movie. Like, this is kind of refreshing in the landscape of today's movie. Does Beetlejuice do that as well?
In the way that I'm happy there's a movie with ghouls and ghosts.
Sure.
Putting in that center stage. Like, I'm pretty happy about that.
Like goofy quirk?
But to see a movie where they're like, hey, we got nothing else. What does Tim Burton do well? Beetlejuice? Okay.
Well, I do feel like this is yet again another not too scary Halloween movie. People can put on the background. It's going to have that vibe. It's set during Halloween as well.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter to the story whatsoever.
But I do feel like that for that reason, I'm like, you know what? This is fine. This is fine. This is going to be another easy Halloween movie for people to watch and to dress up as characters. There's going to be new Halloween costumes coming out. That'll probably be a couple of these characters.
But this is the quality of Ghostbusters 2. Without Viggo the Carpathian.
Well, good.
In it.
I like Ghostbusters too. All right. Everybody hates on it.
People forget it exists.
Give me the pink slime. I like it.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. So, Zach, are you going to stick around for spoilers or are you going to leave for spoilers?
I'm going to leave because I don't care about spoilers, but I want to go home.
Yeah, get out of here.
No, I'm kidding. I actually do think I'm going to go see this movie. It has piqued my curiosity, and I know you guys pretty well. I feel like I'll side closer to Joel on this one.
Okay.
Could be.
Go see it. We'll see.
All right. Have fun, Zach.
Bye, guys.
We are now going to start giving our spoiler-filled review of Beetlejuice, which the fact that they say Beetlejuice leads me to believe there's going to be a Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do that.
But let's wait on that. Because hold on. Bom, 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 bom.
Spoilers. Get out of here, Zach. We're going to start spoiling. All right, Kent. So,
okay. Story-wise,
I want to talk off one thing just off the bat. Kind of spoiler, but not really.
Yeah.
The fact that I knew they were going to kill off Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah.
I was like, look, the actor made some poor choices.
Sure.
They probably don't want him in the film because of that, and that's okay.
but he's kind of showed a little prominently.
But he is. I was going to say they made him a pretty prominent figure.
Yeah.
He appears as Claymation at one point, which I was like, okay, well, that's a little shout out.
Yeah, right.
But then there's a character who appears because in the movie, this is the spoiler right here. He's been killed off because he was going to look at some random bird in a different location. He gets in a plane crash and then a shark eats him.
Yep.
And then a character shows up who's half eaten by a shark. And I was like, oh, that's probably Jeffrey Jones supposed to be.
And there's blood squirting out of the bottom torso, essentially.
Yeah, there's definitely more blood in this movie than the original one. But I did think that was weird that they would have him speak.
Yes.
Because it's obviously not Jeffrey Jones, but they wanted to make it be Jeffrey Jones.
I think they wanted to make, what is her name? What is Catherine O'Hara's name in the movie?
Julia Dietz, I believe.
Okay,
Julia?
so they wanted to make her, like, give her a plot line. And I think the only way they knew how to do that, even though they didn't need to, they could have just said her relationship with Lydia and her kind of Delia. Oh my gosh.
Heavens.
Yeah.
Good
What's wrong with
heavens.
us? And people were just yelling at us. But they could have just done this 3-generation story, but they kept having to bring her back. And it comes to play at the end of her story about their relationship. But they didn't need that. There was another plot line they didn't need.
I was worried that Catherine O'Hara was going to play Delia Dietz as Moira Rose. Like, I was worried that she'd gotten kind of stuck in that and she was going to do that. But no, she fell right back into the exact role she was before. She really is like just great in that role. She may have been given some odd script choices.
Yeah.
Like some of the stuff she did, I'm like, okay, but that's how the character reacts, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so the movie starts out and the accident happens. So they all come together because the death happened. They all go back to the town. Which
I wasn't quite sure why. Like, I wanted to know what happened to the Dietzes after the Beetlejuice incident.
Yeah, and everyone saw, it's the ghost house. Which, by the way, Lydia Dietz is now has a paranormal investigating show.
Yeah,
because she can communicate with the dead. And they didn't really go into, is it a sham? Is she working with the ghosts to kind of create the show? But meanwhile, the only slimy guy is her manager, and that's Justin Theroux. And he also proposes to her pretty early in the movie. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, where I'm like...
We're getting married in 2 days on Halloween.
Yeah, I'm like, act more. Like, this script is horrible because...
He was a little more corny.
He was so corny, and he's like, will you marry me? And she's like, no, but okay. And she kept saying, like, I need to get married. And there was nothing there. Like, there was no reason for that
there was
to
a lot of
other
times,
than love and marriage was kind of the theme of the movie.
There's kind of a hand waving with a lot of plot lines where it's like, why are you doing this? Because I have to. And it's like,
because we have to be at a church at a certain point because...
Well, they even pop out at one point and they're like, you're late for your wedding. And she's like, oh, I have to go. And I'm like, what? No, after all that? No. Anyway, They don't have Barbara and Adam except for a fleeting reference.
It's what they do in sequels.
Barely, like they're passing over the model town, and like there's a section where you can see the shirt of Adam and Barbara.
And Lydia does say they moved to the great beyond. We found a loophole.
Let's think. They didn't have to say loophole to me.
No,
like they said that we found a loophole and they can move on. I think she said they've moved on.
Yeah,
and I would have been like fine with that. But the fact they said they found a loophole, I was like, that seems weird to say that.
Yeah,
which is the great beyond. Like they have the soul train. Which is a literal soul train.
What was that?
I think it was a joke that went on too long.
And they showed it twice.
Yeah.
Almost like beat for beat twice.
And they had like extended dance numbers and music playing.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand why they do that. And I don't know how the Great Beyond...
well, you can see
in reference
there's
to
four levels of where people go. Like,
is there?
2 are kind of crappy and 2 are kind of good. And I think the Great Beyond is literally heaven.
Like, what is that? Like, what are they in when they go to the other world there? I thought that was kind of what death was, and it's like, no, there's the Great Beyond.
I feel like it's limbo where they are the waiting room.
But then what we're
It's basically a haunted house interior.
Yeah.
Like a spook alley.
But why would Adam and Barbara be trapped in their house then instead of going to the Great Beyond?
I don't know.
Like they didn't. I think they explained that
There's
very
no reason
well.
for it. So meanwhile, you have the whole human story and basically Lydia trying to deal with her daughter and her daughter being like, I can't believe you're going to get married to this guy. He's the worst and you're the worst and whatever. And I don't believe in ghosts. Meanwhile, you have Monica Bellucci. She appears and she's like, I'm so mad at Beetlejuice because we were married and she was a soul-sucking cult leader in life.
Yes.
And she tried to kill him. She actually did kill Beetlejuice.
She married him and killed him.
And before
Poisoned
he
him.
died, he chopped her up.
Yeah.
And so she's mad at him in the afterlife and will get revenge.
So Monica Bellucci appears, and kind of honestly, she looks like Morticia Addams for a while there.
Totally.
But Danny DeVito, like I was like, why is he in this movie?
Tim Burton.
It was random, but I just kind of like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But then Monica Bellucci was one of those characters that she'd leave for a bit, and I totally forget about her, and then she'd show up again. I'm like, oh, that's right, the soul sucker.
And meanwhile, a character that didn't need to be there other than saying, oh yeah, I like Willem Dafoe. He was an actor in life. It was in a cop show, and so he kind of plays.
What was that?
He plays a cop, but he's still an actor in the afterlife.
Like I get
trying to warn Beetlejuice that, hey, your ex is coming after you, and then he just tries to hunt Beetlejuice down for breaking laws. And it was just so unnecessary.
I just kept with his... I don't understand that storyline because like, was he a cop or was he an actor?
Yeah.
And why does it matter? And if he's just an actor, why does he have all this authority where he can like command people to arrest and all
That's the joke.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it was an underdeveloped joke.
Yeah.
But he was Willem Dafoe on screen. He's always kind of fun to watch. But I kept going, what are you doing?
But like he even had like catchphrases, and I'm like, is that meant to be your catchphrase? Like I don't even care.
Yeah. And he was another character that kept coming and going, and I kept forgetting they were there. And I was like, oh yeah, Willem Dafoe's in this. That's fine.
That said, like, so Beetlejuice, he works alongside all the Bobs, all the shrunken head guys.
Yes.
And that was like the gag of the movie. You're like, oh, they're so cute.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of cute.
Which is funny. Monica Bellucci is looking for Beetlejuice. Like that's her sole purpose.
Yeah.
But she doesn't go to his office where he works.
They had to waste time. She kills random people.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I did think her killing people was a fun effect. Like when people would scrunch up into that little ball of whatever.
Yes.
Because it was a practical effect.
Okay. But I want to talk about her when it comes to the end of the movie, because I think the end of the movie really fell apart. Like I liked the fun. I liked the church scene. And then when the climax happened and how they got rid of the villains, that was so stupid.
Well,
it was a Deus Ex Machina moment for me.
It kind of was. When it felt, kind of a retake.
Deus Snake Machina? Yeah. Meanwhile, Jenna Ortega is mad at her mom, and she meets a boy.
Yeah, she crashes her bike into a tree and then runs into a boy.
And within like 2 times of hanging out, she realizes she likes him, he likes her, and he's like, look, I'm a ghost. He's like, you can see ghosts.
Spoilers, Kent.
Yeah, right. And you can see ghosts. She's like, oh my gosh.
I was suspicious, by the way. Like when he first meets the boy.
Yeah.
And then they go in the house. And this is one of those things, if you watch a lot of movies, it's something you pick up on. Mm-hmm. But they walk in the house. He's like, hey, Mom. And the mom doesn't show her face.
Yeah.
And then he goes over, Dad's watching TV. Hey, Dad, is Dad watching TV? He's like, doesn't show his face. Yeah. And they go upstairs. And casual viewer, they're not going to pick up on that. But I was like, are they going to be someone famous? But no, it turns out they're all ghosts.
It turns out he murdered his family. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to
by sticking like a saw in his dad's eye and an egg beater in his mom's eye.
Yeah.
It's
They're just trying to shock you. And he tricks Astrid. He tricks Astrid.
Daughter,
he says, hey, I want to be with you and maybe we'll get married someday. So can you take me to the afterlife and help me get back to my body? And she's like, yeah. But he tricks her and basically she gives herself up to be a ghost so that he will get his human body back.
Yeah.
And that was also a plot line.
I liked that.
It wasn't developed though.
It wasn't developed, but it still was a surprise.
Yeah, it was a surprise. And it gave me reason to start getting into the movie, because then you have Lydia making a deal with Beetlejuice, which needed to happen way earlier in the movie. It says, I will marry you if you take me to my daughter so I can go save her.
It felt like a logical could be, reason for her to call Beetlejuice
That should have been the majority of the movie.
No, I actually don't.
Because then Astrid is like, she sees her dad, who died a long time ago.
Yes, so Astrid goes down the afterlife with this boy, and then she sees her dad at a random window as she's walking by. Like, that's my dad, and he's covered with like piranhas because he died in the Amazon. But then I went, wait a minute, and this is just one of those I'm thinking too deep about it moments, because in the first Beetlejuice they make a joke about those who commit suicide in the afterlife will become civil servants.
Yeah,
but he obviously didn't. But he was still working in the offices. So I was like, I don't get how that works.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just me.
It's just yeah. But it's kind of pointless. Like, in fact, when they have a reunion, it's nothing special.
No, they don't talk about anything substantial. There's no big emotional release there. And I had the hardest time with that part, because it was like, oh my gosh, he's going to steal my soul if he does this one thing, and then I'm going to be stuck, and we got to hurry. Oh, there's my dad. Let's sit down and have a cup of tea together. Yeah. And I was like, wait, aren't you in a rush?
Yeah.
Like, you've got things you got to do. Meanwhile, you have Delia Dietz. Delia, by the way. We now know her name.
Right.
Who is just kind of doing quirky stuff the whole time, and she's there to be kind of a comedic relief. And she had some funny moments. I actually did laugh multiple times at things she would do. But she's doing all this funeral service for her husband, and she buys these asps.
Yes.
Which you say were defanged.
Yep.
And then she picks them up as part of the ceremony. They bite her, and she dies.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
No.
They killed off Delia Dietz.
And I thought by the end of the movie, I'm like, they'll bring her back.
Somehow.
Yeah.
But
while she's still in the movie, because she's dead and dead people are in the movie, the character herself is dead.
Which was just weird to me, that sometimes, like, the interactions with the dead, whether they're physical or not physical, there was a little confusion there as to what the rules were.
Yeah.
But with Delia, she's now dead in the underworld, and it was almost sad, but they try to not make it sad. They try to be like, oh, she's fine. It's funny. It's okay. Everything's fine.
She just wants to be with her half-torso husband.
Yes.
Like, what?
Which was a little weird.
Because, basically they're getting to the end of the movie at this point, and once again, Lydia's like, oh, I need to go meet my fiance. I'm late for the wedding.
Yeah.
And her daughter's like, wait, you're really going to do that? She's like, yeah, of course. It's midnight. She goes into the church.
Which, by the way, they said they were getting married on Halloween.
Yeah.
At midnight. And I was like, wait, so it's going to be November 1st?
It's November 1st.
Because that didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, because people are trick-or-treating that same night.
Yeah.
Anyways, Beetlejuice shows up and says, by the way, you signed this contract. It's time to marry me. There's a fun musical number. Went a little too long.
It went a little, like, more than a little long. I kept being like, oh, we're still going with this?
If they cut it in half, quite fun.
But it was fun music. Like, I was still, like, enjoying it. But everyone's getting possessed. Everyone's singing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went, all right, we get the joke. Okay, we're still getting the joke. Okay, we're really getting the joke.
Meanwhile, the villains are there. You have the fiance, and you have Beyonce's Beetlejuice's, Beetlejuice's former fiance or wife, and they show up and they get eaten by a sandworm almost immediately. Nothing really happens there. It almost seemed like Lydia was going to be like, "Hey, Beetlejuice, we're good. Like, you can hang out if you want," because he actually didn't seem all that villainous.
No,
like, he's a punk, but he's not like a bad guy in this movie.
Yeah.
But instead, she still just said Beetlejuice, 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 and he blew up like a balloon for now, right? He's still going to haunt her in her dreams, which it shows in the credits.
Yeah, the ending was a little weird. How it was like this.
Actually, I like the ending.
Well, it was kind of a dream sequence.
Yeah.
That then turned into a dream sequence and another dream
sequence. Where Astrid
sequence.
got married to a guy really quick.
Yeah. Well, she got married. I was like, okay, I guess we're going there. And then as it got weirder, I was like, oh, okay, it's a dream or it's not reality. But then it wasn't reality, but then it was reality.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it was fine. But I kind of went, that was a non-ending.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted a little more, if you will, denouement. A little more kind of wrap up with the story.
I agree. But we're going to get Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. For
Very possibly. Very possibly.
And look, Michael Keaton can still do it. I think Winona Ryder maybe can't really carry a movie.
This movie is 36 years since the original, I believe. I did my math right. And I went,
if this
I think
is a
this
hit,
would have been stronger had it been like 20 years ago.
I think in 3 years we could see a sequel if this is a hit.
You think that soon?
Yeah. I think they'll have to.
Well, they probably will.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do in the third one, though. But at the same time, if they do it the same as this one, it'll be on par. And I think I'll be fine with that.
Yeah. I think I've dropped a C-.
You went back down?
Yeah. There's just too many characters with too many plot lines. And the parts I liked, for example, Michael Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, and Jenna Ortega to a lesser extent. The score, obviously, is really good.
Yeah.
And then I did have some fun when everything was going kind of crazy near the end. But everything just kind of went nowhere. And if they kept it simple, I'm in.
Yeah. I thought you would like it more because it was darker and had more blood.
Yeah, I did like that.
Is it back up to a C now?
Back to a C.
All right. So there is our review of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Unless you have anything else to say.
That's
Ken.
it.
That is our review of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. And we hope that you let us know on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, what your thoughts were when you go and see it. But let's keep it spoiler free for now because, save that for later.
Press X to doubt.